I saw all y'all saying Matt's crying, and you ain't tell me nothing I didn't know. I was crying. I was acting like a crybaby after Georgia won that game. What about Arch Manning coming into the game on 4th and 2, and I did not have this on my bingo card for the 2024 college football season. Texas using Arch Manning like Michigan uses Alex Orji? I just did not see that coming. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you having a great Sunday night. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. Man, oh man, what about those games over this weekend? We got to do this. Clap it up, clap it up. That's what dreams are made of, and here's what I'm talking about. If you were to ask me, yo, Matt, if you can choose to do anything on your last day here on earth, what would it be? It'd be to watch college football all day long and watch some amazing games, and that's what we had this weekend. It was electric, to say the least. We had the Georgia Bulldogs and the nerds, Georgia Tech, shout out to them, much respect, go into not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, but 8 overtimes. That was unreal. We're going to talk all about that, and some of y'all may have or may not see my live reaction. Or not my live reaction, but just a reaction. I was throwing a hissy fit. I feel like Georgia Tech got robbed. I'm standing 10 toes down on that, and the refs stole that game away from them. You know we're going to talk all about this one. Lil Bro State remains Lil Bro State for another 365 days. They somehow, someway find a way to lose to Michigan. Again, 4 straight season. Gosh, man, you can't make it up. On their home field, you couldn't beat Michigan in a down year. Are they ever going to beat them again? I don't know. Tell you this much, as long as Ryan Day's there, Michigan's always going to have a chance to beat Ohio State. Tennessee took care of the nerds in Vanderbilt, secured their spot in the playoff, and South Kakalaki goes into Clemson's home stadium and upsets them 17-14. Penn State curb stomps Maryland. I know what you're sitting there saying, Matt, why are we even talking about this? Maryland's awful. And it's for something that happened at the end of the game. James Franklin was running up the score. That has rubbed some people the wrong way, including Maryland's head coach, and I'm going to give you my 2 cents on that. Miami has a blunder against Syracuse. Is anybody shocked by this? No. Syracuse is a solid ball club, and Miami, well, you know, they're Miami. The defense is awful. Alabama, they play not very good and still win the Iron Bowl by 14 points. The primetime game, we had Texas and A&M. Quinn Ewers tried to give it away, but the Texas defense, they held up. In the Big 12, Arizona State crushes their rivals. In Iowa State, they beat K-State, and BYU's, they get a win over Houston. Many more things we're going to talk about. Strap in, buckle up, get you a snack, get you a popcorn, get your favorite meal you like to eat when you watch a video, because trust me, I do the same thing, but I blah, 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 shut crap out now, without further ado. Let's get into it. All right, first things first, you know we like to start out with our 11 a.m. games first. We had Michigan and the Little bro, Ohio State. I don't want to talk about this game too much, just due to the fact we did a live reaction video to it that was like 20, 25, 30 minutes long. But Ohio State, like I said in the preview, they were better than Michigan in every facet of the game. Outside of Ohio State's defensive backs being kind of questionable and shaky, there was nothing you could point to for Michigan and say, oh yeah, they're better than Ohio State at that position group. Ohio State on paper had the better quarterback, O-line, just better everything. You get the point. Let's talk about the game itself. Like I expected, Michigan's offense, not good. I didn't think they was going to score many points, and they didn't. They only mustered up 13. And the main reason they got 13 is shout out to Will Howard. He gifted them essentially a pick 6. They returned it to the 2. That is the second time this year Will Howard, backed up in his end zone, has thrown a pick 6. Did it against Penn State and did it in this one. Terrible decision making. Not only did he have that near pick 6, he also threw an interception when Ohio State was in the red zone, so that took points off the board. I like Will Howard. Seems like a great young man, but there's not any way to sugarcoat this. He sucked. But here's the kicker with that. Even with Will Howard playing atrocious, Davis Warren said, hold my beer. I'm going to one-up you. Davis Warren was pretty bad himself. And let me know in the comment section, who played worse, Howard or Warren? Warren had the interception early in the game, and then the most crucial one, which I thought was going to cost Michigan the game. It's 1st and goal in the 2. He could have just, oh my gosh, he had so much room to lob this pass. He could have waited for the receiver to continue running, but no, he throws it straight to Jack Sawyer. One of the worst passes you're probably ever going to see. If he had any touch whatsoever, it was going to be a touchdown. And the announcer, Gus Johnson, was like, oh my goodness. By the way, that guy's a Ohio State meat muncher. Every time, let's talk about this real quick. Did some of y'all notice anytime Ohio State had just a decent play, Gus Johnson's like, oh my goodness, look at that. That's the greatest play ever. And then if Michigan scored a touchdown or did anything good, he's like, oh yeah, interception Michigan. Got real quiet. Like, what's that about? I'm not going to talk about that too much. Hopefully some of y'all noticed that I had to bring it up. But the reason I even bring it up in the first place is because when Jack Sawyer picked off Davis Warren, he was like, oh my goodness. He literally said word for word, that's the greatest interception you're ever going to see. What? No. It's more so the worst pass you're ever going to see. He threw it straight to him. Terrible play. Long story short, that was going to put Michigan up 17-10. They was going to be looking pretty. But now it's 10-10, and you no longer have the football, and Ohio State has the ball. But the Michigan defense, they hold up strong, get the ball back. Michigan drives down the field and kicks the game-winning field goal. And here's the perplexing part about this game. It's not even like Michigan played really good. I love to sit up here and tell you, oh yeah, Michigan played their A+ game. They didn't. I think they played like their B- game. Ohio State had more first downs, more total yards, more passing yards. The only thing Michigan beat them in was rushing yards, but we knew that was going to happen. Ohio State's soft as charming tissue paper. I said tissue paper, my apologies. Toilet paper, you get what I'm trying to say. The only reason Michigan won this game, it's the only thing you can point to, is they wanted it more. It's as simple as that. Michigan just straight up said, yeah, we know we're not elite. We know we're not great, but we're just going to go out here and play our hardest. And they look like the team that wanted it more in that game on Saturday. And we got to talk about this. The play call for Chip Kelly, what are you doing? Ohio State, I get it. You want to prove to big bro Michigan you can also run the ball. But when you got all those weapons, future NFL studs at wide receiver like Jeremiah Smith, the next Julio Jones, in my humble opinion, you got to get them the ball. I mean, you got to draw up some long passing plays. You can't just dink and dime your way down the field. You can't hand it off. Terrible play calling by Chip Kelly. And when I rewatched the game earlier this morning when I was doing all my film study, it baffled me even more. How did Michigan win this game? It doesn't make sense. They don't even have near the athletes that Ohio State has. It's not even close. Oh, wait a minute. That's right. Like I told y'all a couple minutes ago. It's because they wanted it more. And their head coach isn't an idiot sandwich. I'm not going to sit up here and berate Ryan Day because I've done that the past 4 years on the channel. Y'all know how I feel about that chumping bozo, and I could sit up here for the next 20 minutes to talk about this game, but I think that's enough. Big bro beats little bro, and the little bro state name continues on the channel for another 365 days, now 364. I got good news and bad news for Ohio State fans. Let's start off with the bad news. The bad news is you're going to be called a little bro state for the next 364 days. The good news is you can change that in 364 days. It's up to you, but first things first, you got to get rid of that fraud that y'all call Ron Day. And I know it just seems like we're crapping on Ohio State, but guys, there's not even like a lot of great things to say about Michigan in this game outside of they played hard. I wish I could sit up here and tell you Davis Warren played the game of his life, but he didn't. He had 2 interceptions, 2 costly ones at that. Michigan's defense was really impressive, but you also got to attribute that to Ohio State's play calling was also atrocious. I'm not trying to discredit Michigan, but this game is more so about Ohio State just straight up lost it. Congratulations, Michigan fans. I really enjoy that fan base, and I'm happy for y'all. That makes Michigan's season, and I think all of the Michigan fans would agree with that. Moving along here, another 11 a.m. game. Not going to talk about this too much. Tennessee, they handled Vanderbilt at Vanderbilt, and for a second, it looked like Tennessee was going to get upset. They was trailing 17-7. Pivotal play in this game is Pavia, while they're up by 10, throws a pass into the end zone, and Gerard McCoy just picks it off. From that point on, it was all Tennessee. Congratulations, and I'll clap it up to the Volunteer Nation. You're going to the playoffs. I've said this all year long. I've tweeted it out multiple times. Dylan Sampson is the best running back in the nation. And yes, he is better than Ashton Jeanty. It's not even a hot take, it's the truth. Look at what Dylan Sampson's doing against SEC competition. Anybody can rush for 200 yards when you're carrying the ball 40 times per game against freaking San Jose State. I ain't trying to discredit Ashton Jeanty. I think he's great, but Dylan Sampson's better. You know we got to talk about it. South Kakalaki. I did pick them to win this game. Shout out to Matt. Upsets Clemson. When I was previewing this game, I was like, why is Clemson favored? I don't think they have a better defense or better offense in South Carolina, and, well, it looks like Matt was right about something. Just like I was right about Ryan Day, I was right about South Carolina. They go in there, they prevail. Lenore Sellers. I said this weeks ago. I know it seems like I'm tooting my own horn, but seriously, I said this weeks ago. He is arguably the best quarterback in the SEC. That guy was a beast, and I mean a beast against Clemson. 16 carries for $166, 2 touchdowns. What about that in the huge third down conversion at the end of the game to win the game? And speaking of South Kakalaki's defense, they clutch up at the end. They get that game-winning interception against K. Klubnik. Notre Dame was getting scared there for a second. They was in a close game against USC. USC's trailing by 7. Looks like they're driving, about to tie it up, and they throw a pick 6, and, well, that ended the ball game. Shout out to Notre Dame. That is a solid win on the road, and you're in the playoffs. Penn State and Maryland, I just want to talk about the final play. So Penn State's backup quarterback threw a touchdown on 4th and 12 with 0 seconds left. Why am I talking about this? Because Penn State was up by 30. Maryland's head coach wasn't a fan of it. He stated it was bull crap, and he didn't say crap, so you can put 2 and 2 together there. And a lot of people were like, oh, well, why is Penn State throwing the ball and trying to score when they're up by 30? That's not classy. What James Franklin said after the game, it's 100% true. They had the backups in. It's not like Penn State had the starters in. No, they had their backups, their second, third, and I think even some 4-stringers in there. And they've worked hard in the offseason. They lifted weights. They got up at 5 a.m. They did all the work. they deserve to play football too. I hate this whole mentality of where teams that are getting beat by 40 just expect the opposing coach and team to just hand the ball off 30 times. I know the backup quarterback, he needs to get reps in. What if the starter gets hurt? And it's the same approach that Steve Spurrier had, and if I ever became a coach one day, that's the approach I would take. Steve Spurrier beat the absolute crap out of somebody at Florida, and the reporter asked him after the game, why were you running up the score? And all he stated was, well, it's their job to stop us. And he's 100% right. To Mike Locksley, if you want Penn State to not score on you, here's a crazy idea. I know, just hear me out. Why don't you stop them? What are we doing here? Do you want a participation trophy as well? Stop them or just shut up. Get out of here with that. And I ain't even a James Franklin fan, but I am totally fine with what he did. Miami and Syracuse, shout out to Kyle McCord. That was Clemson's MVP of the day. If you don't know what I'm talking about, since since Syracuse won, Clemson is going to the ACC championship, which kind of sucks because think about it. South Kakalaki beat Clemson, and Clemson still controls their own destiny. That's stupid to me. Kyle McCord went off, though, and it's the same story, different day. Miami, Cam Ward, great offense, terrible defense. Miami's playoff hopes are definitely not looking. I mean, they still got a shot, but if they would have won that game, they'd have been in. Now, who knows what's going to happen. SMU quietly minding their own business, smashed California 38-6. What about this one? The snow game, Mizzou and Arkansas. When I saw their field at they were showing the pictures at 7, 8 a.m., I was like, holy schmoly. Did a blizzard come through or something? That was a sight to see, and as a kid growing up, I always wanted to play in something like that. Indiana steamrolls Purdue, Oregon beats a not-so-hot Washington team, and I think it's time to talk about the best rivalry in all college football, the Iron Bowl. Oh, man, it went kind of how I thought. Alabama's not a very good team, and Auburn's a worser team. I know worser's not a word. Calm down, Timothy and Bobby, before you run to the comment section. But seriously, Alabama had not one, not two, not three, but 4 turnovers. Jalen Milroe had 3 fumbles himself, only lost 2 of them, and they still won by 14 points. Ryan Williams got patched in the recent college football update. He dropped an easy touchdown and also had a fumble. Fortunately for Alabama, Auburn's just playing very uninspired football, and they didn't even want to be there. I guess since they couldn't have their witchcraft in Jordan-Hare Stadium, they was like, we'll just save it all for next year. There's not much to be said about it. Extremely boring game to watch. Peyton Thorne had Peyton Thorne performances, made some good throws, made a lot of bad throws. Congratulations, Alabama, for winning a rival matchup, but I wouldn't be too thrilled about that win. That's just me. Colorado on Friday, do y'all really want me to talk about this? Destroyed a terrible Oklahoma State team 52-0. And Ole Miss, they win the Egg Bowl. That was kind of similar to Alabama. Ole Miss didn't play that good. Beat a terrible Mississippi State team 26-14. The more I think about it, those were identical games. Ole Miss and Alabama, much better team. I know it's a rival game, so you can throw the record out the window, but Ole Miss and Bama should have played, and they could have played better. The Georgia and Georgia Tech game, and let me state this right now, I was acting like a crybaby after Georgia won that game. I saw all y'all saying Matt's crying, and you ain't tell me nothing. I didn't know. I was crying. The pass interference when it was 20-6 on 4th and 5 on the goal line that kept Georgia in the game, that's complete horse crap. I'm more mad about that call than people are with the targeting. The targeting one, by definition, it is targeting, kind of questionable. But the pass interference, no, should have been called. 4th and 5 in a rival game in the 4th quarter, you're calling. It's not even ticky-tacky, in my opinion. It wasn't pass interference. You're calling that? Even if it is ticky-tacky, you shouldn't call it. Let the players decide the outcome, not the refs. The 3 big ones to me were the targeting, the non-holding call that was not called against Georgia when they were driving at the end of the game to tie it up, and also the pass interference. I saw some people saying, well, Matt, you're nitpicking. You can nitpick in all these games. Dude, that's not nitpicking. Those were 3 are the hugest plays in the game. Those 3 plays alone kept Georgia in this ball game. I also saw a lot of people saying, well, Matt, if Georgia Tech would have won, they should have handled it themselves. They shouldn't have fumbled. They should have converted on when they had it on the 2-point conversion after a pass interference. They had to get 1.5 yards. They should have got that. Here's the thing, partner, you're not understanding. It shouldn't even have got to that point. They shouldn't have had to convert it. With that being said, you're 100% right. With all the bad things that transpire, with all the bad things that happened in Georgia Tech, they still had a great opportunity of winning this game. They didn't just have multiple. They had 5, 6, 7 attempts to win the game in overtime. They couldn't do it. Some terrible play calling as to why Georgia abandoned the run and all those 2-point conversions. I have no idea. You're a running football team. They only ran 1 run play with Haynes King. It got stuffed, but who cares? There was 8 overtimes. You run the ball once, what are we doing? Long story short, despite all the bad calls, Georgia Tech, they couldn't put them away, and you got to clap it up, and I'll do it right now. Clap it up to Georgia. They overcame adversity, and they never quit, and I respect that. I ain't mad at Georgia, the football team, the fans, and players that they got away with some calls or the calls went their way. I'm mad at the refs. That's who I'm mad at, but I think you guys are right as well. Matt, which is me, I need to quit crying. Georgia Tech, they should have put them away. Georgia won rather less. Great comeback win for them. One of the most legendary games you're ever going to watch. 8 overtimes. And last but not least, to cap off our Sunday recap, one of our last Sunday recaps, unfortunately, the Texas Longhorns and the A&M Aggies. Well, not a high-scoring game. It was 17-7, and the only reason A&M scored 7 is because of Quinn Ewers' pick 6. What about Arch Manning coming into the game on 4th and 2, and I did not have this on my bingo card for the 2024 college football season. Texas using Arch Manning like Michigan uses Alex Orji? I just did not see that coming. Arch Manning has a massive, not just 4th down conversion, but rushing touchdown. And Texas won this game in the trenches. Although the score says 17-7, it was never in doubt. A&M, they couldn't do anything. Here's all you need to know. Texas had 250 rushing yards. A&M had 100. Credit to Marcel Reed, he tried his best, but this Texas football team, they're hard to beat. Many more things I could say. I do want to hurry up and get this video edited and uploaded for you guys. Let me know your thoughts down below. But